once again, it might enable their entire lineup if they are willing to look at it.
Well, it's left forward Toronto here, so there's a lot of heroes that are banned. You have.
Do you feel like he needs like a preemptive Tinker counter though? Because when you guys are talking about Tinker, I feel like it seems so free. I mean,
it's very free right now.
He has to cover the Tinker angle. He has to, but no Puck, no Storm, no Void Spirit, no Ember Spirit. I don't know, man. Like most of the heroes that he would want to pick are kind of gone.
Okay, that's a Toronto hero, but it's not an inherent Tinker counter. No. You can catch him, but you don't stay on top of him.
And nothing to say, he was a Tinker spammer. When he was like a C pub star, he was one of those guys.
Yes, give us the NTS C Tinker. We want to see it. Don't go out without it. He is, he is the king on this hero. Come on, make it happen.
There it is.
Okay, perfect.
Does this make you just favor LGDs? Because I think this is the first game I've seen like their draft that looks cohesive with the Celeste split.
I'm a huge Tinker believer. I believe that if you play this hero to the limit and you find ways to push his timings this game, I think he's going to shine. I think you're going to see this hero popping off, and he's going to be making Team Spirit run away. They're going to be dying from rockets. It could be a massacre. It always has the potential. This hero is so strong this patch, and yeah, one of the best Tinker players. I hope to see fireworks.
Yeah, regardless of what I want to see win TI, I want the game 4 at this point. So for this game, I'm all in LGD. I want them to take it. I want to see more Spirit. I want to see more LGD. I want to see more Dota, and that's all I care about.
I want to see more Dota too, but I would be very happy to see Team Spirit win. I think these guys have shown the world some incredible games, and the beauty of the game and the beauty of these heroes and what you can actually make happen. So either way, I'll be happy for Team Spirit, but boy, I want to see more games too.
Excited pep talk. You see it.
And the draft is finished, and we're going to head straight over to Casters with Insania and OD Pixel.
Thank you very much, Howie. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 3 now of the Grand Finals. PSG.LGD against Team Spirit. Team Spirit up at the moment, 2-0. One game away from potentially taking that championship spot. Insania, we heard from the panel there during the draft. They were they predicted it perfectly, this Tinker pick. Turn the tides and get the momentum back under their grasps in this series.
I mean, I absolutely think so. Out of all the drafts that we've seen from them, this feels the most LGD. I felt like in the last game, they didn't really have a way to fight. I feel like LGD's like proven we're one of the best teams fighting you. And I feel like in the last two games, to do it. It's allowed against Spirit, but at the same time, I see a way for Spirit to deal with a Tinker. I don't think it's an uncountered Tinker. I just think of the way Yatoro plays. I could easily see him, get on top of the Tinker and pick him off in a fight, come in from the sides with Meld, and, read the movement correctly. Because one of the themes for me about Team Spirit victories has been vision, and vision is the best way to deal with Tinker. This hero abuses vision better than most heroes, so I think the vision war that's going to happen between Spirit and LGD is going to be really interesting.
Already going to see both teams head-to-head it. And he's sort of catch from either than White. Gonna try and hide in the pit. Already the rocket's starting to come out from nothing to say. It's Team Spirit, they will back up in either side, able to get the grab that they wanted to potentially get that first blood. But let's see, as you say, definite potential here for PSG.LGD and their lineup. But as we've seen so far, 2 games in which Team Spirit have looked to be completely in their comfort zone. And it does seem the pressure, it's certainly more so there for PSG.LGD in this series.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. And I agree with something No-Tail said, where like if this game starts looking bad, if the early game doesn't really go their way, I could easily see some potential crumbling coming out from LGD. But I feel like they have the makings of a good draft. When I look at it objectively, if this was like a first game of the series, I haven't seen either of these two teams play, I would have favored LGD's draft. I like what they're coming into this game with. They're setting up strong lanes, and they have Tinker to like kind of provide the damage for later team fights.
One thing though to me that sort of stands out looking at the lineup of PSG.LGD, whilst they've definitely got a lot of heroes to create that vision, set up for the Tinker to go crazy in the team fight, sort of similar to, I believe, the Game 1 draft, there's not a lot of stuns.
Yep, you're right about that, and I think the idea here for them is that you're not really going to be committing into fights. You're not jumping a hero and then just trying to stun him and lock him down and chase him down. You're rather trying to burst somebody really quick and then resetting out. So the idea of using Rupture and then dropping Tombstone is going to be their key way of team fighting, and then you're going to use Rubik primarily for counter initiation. So when somebody comes into your backline, or when somebody chases down the Bloodseeker, that's when you'll see the Rubik coming with lift. That's when he's going to come in with a clutch tornado or something along those lines.
Let's see how these lanes end up panning out here in the early game. Yatoro on his PA, as we said. This time a hero that he has already pulled out on the main stage.
I love a look at the bottom lane, he's so good at doing this. As soon as you see Zincu put his block on the small camp, he doesn't care if he misses a creep or two. Just immediately runs over, make sure they get that pressure. Zincu's immediately forces TP out. So that's mana. That's a Fate Bolt that he's not going to be able to use on him. Plus he doesn't have a TP. So just really nice gameplay from him, helping out his position 5 player win these trades.
Not even stepping up there, trying to get connection onto Zincu, but smartly keeping his distance. We'll have to watch out when the 2s are hit. I mean, this lane in general, when you see the Bloodseeker Rubik, do you feel that that is a lane that the PA can struggle against, or is it not too bad?
I think it's the kind of lane where they can kill the Rubik. Oh, and here we go.
They're going to try, they get in the Thunderstrikes there, Miposhka. First blood for him down in this lane. The tricks favouring them here between the supports.
Yeah, so if you think of structured, Bloodseeker Rubik, they want to slow the pass you out of the lane. And if you think about Disruptor PA, it's a similar story. But Disruptor PA have kill threat on Rubik because the silence from Bloodseeker is so slow that he can't really save his Rubik if they go on.
My goodness, look at this aggression in mid. Toronto, Tokyo. Nothing to say.
Yep. He does have his bottle though, and the water runes are up. So he'll really be able to run to the top one and pick it up for himself. Yeah, up top, Collapse is taking a lot of pressure here from the Spectre Undying. I think the Spectre Undying is an interesting lane because you won't really see the Spectre connecting as much as the PA is to his carry and helping him, but he'll provide the vision from the dagger. There will always be that slow that enables Undying to get more hits in.
Sure, you feel it's unlikely for the Mag and the Willow to ever really get on top of the Spectre in the lane?
I think, so the idea for the top lane is that the Undying's going to tank a lot of damage. He's going to be in your face. You're going to have to be hitting the Undying with his mana for the first portion of the game. And that will lead the Spectre to get a lot of farm for free. However, the Undying has an issue because he runs out of mana at some point and he runs out of healing. And usually when he does that, he's forced to reset back. And Spectre can take some pressure. But so far, it seems like Why is doing a good job is just blocking out these camps, providing vision. But you see this, Mira's immediately on top of dewarding the ward. He reads it perfectly.
Yeah. Knew exactly where he was heading. Right, we'll go for the quick trip back to base here. I see mid. Toronto Tokyo is going to have to take the walk back, so a bit of space given to Nothing to Say as he is starting to get ahead in this matchup, getting a good few denies in against the Invoker.
Yep. And the Invoker's going to lose a full creep over experience here, plus the bottle refill from... This is great gameplay from LGD, and I think this looks characteristic of LGD, right? You expect to see them do these things where they're optimizing everything that's happening. Y runs in, drops a ward, denies himself the tower, blocks the Ancients, TP's mid, refills the bottle before Nothing to Say. This doesn't look like FaZe's team to me, you know? We were a little bit worried that maybe they're going to be feeling a little bit of tilt or pressure, but the way they're playing right now, looks like heads in the game.
A solid start on the lane so far. He wants to try and play for the 4-minute rune, but what managed to do to trip back up was on its way over for PSG.LGD to keep control of that.
Yeah. You notice both 4s are rotating for the runes, right? And in this situation, the Bloodseeker's pretty fine bottom. He can't really be harassed out of the lane because of how the Thirst functions, and he just keeps regaining HP for every last hit that he gets. Meanwhile, the Mag up top, who's laning against the Undying, runs into this impossible block where he can't really rock up to the lane and get gold. And I think as long as they play this rune game, where they force the position 4 rotate towards the middle lane, LGD's going to come out with a little bit of an edge out of the laning phase.
Oh, their core is definitely looking comfortable so far.
Yep. You see Miposhka rotating over mid, setting up vision. There's so much vision around this middle lane for the Dire side. They don't want the Sinker to go down.
Yeah, almost impossible to close in on Nothing to Say with this sort of setup from the team. It's going to ensure that he does get this good start.
Yep, absolutely. And if you take a look at this, notice the Invoker's really falling behind. The Tinker almost has as many denies as the Invoker has last hit. So, like NoTail and Seb mentioned, right, this is one of the best Tinker players in the entire world, and he's living up to that praise that he received on the panel.
But would you imagine that, even though it did get through to the last pick, do you think it was something that Team Spirit would have had in mind? They knew that this was going to be, was potential of this coming up as the last pick for PSG.LGD.
If I'm being honest, I don't feel like they really addressed the Tinker in their draft. I think this Invoker was more like this is what we're going to go with, as Miposhka has trouble.
Chase him down, he does get enough. Yutoro tries to spin a one fake behind, but the backup's there from White. He's trying to come in, Yutoro, but can he get the kill in time? But still, vision, probably run him down, but behind, it's down to the side. Yutoro's not got further vision. He is going to be able to jump out of the blood right though, over to the creep wave.
The zombie gives vision.
See if they can chase him up the tower, they can't. Oh, they can! Oh, they get him!
The zombie Heavy vision.
They still manage to see him there as Jinkyu reaches in with a hard-hitting fade bolt.
Actually, I do believe that was a thirst vision.
Now Mapochka. I mean, this is going to be another one. Can they get him as well?
There's no man on the Rubik, but he has boots.
I mean, Jinkyu, he wants to dive in for this. He is taking quite a bit. Few taps here. Toronto Tokyo will TP over. Jinkyu will get punished for this dive. See, Toronto Tokyo can find anything more here. Why still in the tower? No TP, no mana. So they do dive in to get an extra kill on the Disruptor Mapochka, but they lose 2 heroes for it. Toronto Tokyo, pretty nice kills for him as well, considering the slower start he was having in comparison, say, in the mid. So being able to make that move and pick up 2 kills on the Invoker, that's going to get the game back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. But we touched on this, the VP versus Team Spirit, how it's very important that you get earn charges on the Invoker, right? This is what enables the Invoker to play his game and be faster on the map. Unfortunately, he has not bought his earn, so despite getting 2 kills, he doesn't fulfill the objective of getting 2 earn charges in the early game. So while it is good for them, it also has its drawbacks, and this is in large part due to how well Nothing to Say played his lane out.
It's been lockless. Focus now around top as Collapse coming here in the lane against Arme, getting just as much as the Spectre. And that's got to be a after game 2 performance, probably something to fear if you're PSG.LGD. Collapse, I believe adding 2-0-20 in game 2 on his back.
Yeah, absolutely. Middle lane, Nothing to Say is getting pressured. But you see here what Seb and No-Tail talked about. They don't really have the damage to punish him. They don't have the tools to really kill him. The Invoker is good at catching him, but he's not a hero that can stay on top of it and keep outputting damage, because as soon as you've used your spells, that's kind of all you have in the tank. And in the bottom lane, you notice here how Yatoro doesn't feel as sitting on the lane. When the wave is pushed out, he's forced to move away from it because the Rupture is up now and they have the ability to go on him. So you can look at Team Spirit as dirt.
Nice. Yatoro trying to farm with the dagger from the blur.
Heading back on lane as well in the middle lane to set up for a potential TP.
Let's see if Jinkyu and Faith behind feel that they can strike. They're being careful. They know that a reaction will come out if they decide to try and dive in on Yatoro, so they won't fall for it.
But yeah, so far you notice as soon as the wave, he's forced off. Spectre's just comfortably sitting top. He knows that he can lane against the mag at this point and doesn't really feel the pressure. However, you know, despite all of this, Spirit does have a slight gold lead all around.
Incredibly close though. PSG.LGD, they're bringing extra numbers down. Why? Join them. Get Mapochka as well with the movement.
Is under attack.
Pressure. And
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
God, I love money.
People canceled it, recognizing that, you know what, I can't TP into the tomb. It's not going to be a good fight for me.
See Collapse trying to play around with Jinkyu. They do have further members coming up. Team Spirit off the back of those down bottom. You know, he'll move himself up the top half of the map to bottom up here. TI10 Tower will be lost. PSG with an early objective.
Yep, they're just evening out the map, swapping sides here. You see even a scan going out on the trees, making sure that Nothing's here setting up. And one of the best ways to deal with Tinker is you want to try to get these early towers, because Tinker abuses the towers on the map in order to fight. It provides him with safety, it places it in 3-2, cut his mana, go back to it, do it again. So it's important to try to get the towers early, because once Tinker comes online, it's going to be very difficult for them to do it.
Let's see what they looked at next. Staying together, I'll take some jungle away from PSG.LGD.
Yep, so Tinker just finished. There's a rocket. Look like they're playing it patient. They don't feel rushed to make this move yet. And this is another of the nice parts about Undying. Unlike most vibes, he has the ability to farm jungle camps quite easily because he just puts a tombstone, and the tombstone deals damage over time and spawns all these zombies that allow him to farm these camps and get some extra gold. He's closing round 6.
Alright, the space is here. Clearing up the stacks, keeping his farm on par with that of our mate. Pretty good. I'm of course building straight into the stats right now. Falcon Blade into the SNY. He has to put the Empower.
Yep. As soon as that runs out, look at Collapse. He immediately runs over. And this goes back to what Seb talked about, right? This game is more about the Empower. They're not playing around the Skewer in the same way that they were in the previous games. As a smoke coming down bottom.
So if the 3 members of Spirit can find some action, they do have 6 on the supports. The Static Storm and the Fear ready to play with. PSG.LGD, they're doing a great job of avoiding this. Arme is down here on his own.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, it looks like they're waiting for the haunt, but Arme is about to get caught. Spirit have sniffed him out.
If the 3 of the damage. Try and set up the route, but not going to get the connection. The back is there. The Static Storm. TPs are coming out. Mate, he's tanking up to live through the Static Storm. He's still alive. In fact, he's able to get the tornado to catch him. But it isn't enough damage. Arme will live. And it will be Spirit that lose the 2 heroes off the back of that attempt.
And in the meanwhile, you see, as always, Team Spirit really smart about their map movement. Yatora moves into the enemy jungle, starts farming here. Tinker's forced to come top and defend the tower. And despite losing their 2 supports, they're applying the pressure. And whenever Tombstone's used, you're going to see LGD kind of wait up. So this is 40 seconds that they know Yatora is most likely going to be allowed to farm pretty freely. And that's why he's up here in the top lane playing so aggressively. Collapse is the next target.
Trying to chase beyond. Not going to get in range for the rupture. Collapse into the trees. It's hard to find. I don't get the setup. About halfway towards his Blink Dagger Collapse.
A much better vision game this time around for LGD. Their wards are not getting dewarded the same way they were in the previous games. They actually have quite a lot of here to play with, and a lot more information than we've seen them have in the previous 2 games of the series.
There's a calm start once again, but very close. 13 minutes, 1K in PSG, despite the 2 rough games they've had. The Spirit seemingly regaining their control that's managed to drive them straight through the upper bracket into this grand finals. Let's see if they can keep it up. Bottom, Spirit. Start from a poke on to White. And just the 2 of them is not enough to deal with the Undying. Not going to look to commit anything. Spirit, they know there's potentially backup behind the Undying.
Yeah, and the Tinker's deciding to go for the Aghanim Scepter. The way this works is whenever he lasers someone, they lose a chunk of their maximum HP. So versus these type of heroes that Team Spirit has, he's going to be very, very quick at killing them all.
Look at this quick move. Sure, with the horn, looks to Collapse, jumps over towards Yatora, drives the TP and feeds away. But Collapse, there'll be no escape for him.
Yeah, just great presence here from LGD. And then it seems like they understand now how Spirit's playing the pace of the map, and they understand what Spirit wants to do. They're going to make assumptions based on your movement. And it feels like LGD are getting a better and better read of it. And yeah, I think that's largely due to they're able to establish more vision on the map this time around.
Radiant
Yatora, back to the farm, to at least get his S&Y done before standing up to the fights. Just that, the BKB may be something that he wants to hold back until he has as well. Tinker Laser will never be fun to play against as a PA when he's trying to focus targets. Bottom lane.
God, I hate that front.
Get dropped, escape with any way to find him here.
There's one more sentry.
He's into the trees. He's able to
there is a lift and a glimpse.
Oh! Not quite able to get round trees to get that set up as Toronto Tokyo makes it out of there. They lose 2 supports, they get the Spectre. You happy with that if you're Spirit?
I think Spirit's okay with it. I think this is like, LGD recognize that our Tinker is so strong right now. There's no real counterplay. Even if the PA gets on top of him right now, the PA doesn't deal enough damage to burst him. So I think for LGD, you want to try to abuse his timing where your Tinker's very strong and he's out to damage. And Ahmed dying once or twice here or there while he doesn't have Haunt isn't the worst for them as long as they get some sort of response in return.
Back to the farming and 100 or so on Ahmed. They are on track to hit a very good timing. And we've seen already the responses from PSG.LGD each and every time Spirit try and make a move have been top tier. But now the move Spirit can make, it's going to be much more difficult. collapse. The blink dagger on its way over to be in his hands. We saw what he was achieving last game when he was jumping all over the place. See if he can put it up again and start to literally tear PSG.LGD apart with his abilities to just grab them and throw them around the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. But this game is much more challenging than the previous ones. There's going to be rockets flying at you. There's going to be Tombstone Zombie. You have many things that are going to get in your face, as well as the secret rights. You're going to have to both navigate these spells and make sure that he doesn't get caught before that. Plus on top of that, there's a Haunt, right, to provide all this vision for LGD. So I feel like the way the game is shaping up, it's falling a lot into Yatoro's hands. And he's proven that he can do it.
Yeah.
But his farm and the way he plays his team fight out is very key in order for them to be able to stand a chance against LGD.
No, absolutely. As I say, this KB, if he can get this quickly, that's going to be a huge they can do through it. The Rupture being the main one. The setup's there, and Collapse, Mafoshka, Mirror, they're able to hold the heroes in position. This PA is not going to have to step around the fight too much.
Yep.
As long as they're able to stand and get the hits in, they can have the heroes brought to them.
Absolutely. Ahmed finished up his Aghanims, and once they get this timing coming, you see LGD immediately woke up. They're checking for wards. They drop a sentry to block the Ancients. They know the PA is playing in this area. Unfortunately, they just made the wrong guess. So you either here are going to assume that he's at the camps up in where they are right now, or he's playing at the Ancients. But look at Yatoro. He sniffs it out.
It's so hard to catch this man. He's just always a step ahead.
I mean, the way they're reading the map is just very intelligent. I think they realize when the Spectre runs back to base that something's probably happened, right? He's not just running back to base because he wants to.
What's up?
Know that the item is very likely coming. And then when all the heroes then disappear, that is like a sign for Yatoro to be like, okay, I can't show.
I see the attempt onto Toronto Tokyo down bottom. Zombie, he'll jump over, Sentry still down. Toronto Tokyo trying to find himself in the beast. Gets to make one across the
Wise and
map it.
2 seconds for the skewer. Skewer back.
They've got the dagger slow to set it up. He's able to dodge the decay nicely so that he didn't get hit. Book off. And now Arme, he's ready to come back in. You throw him up to the sun. The rocket's not enough, but nothing can seem to finish him off. The fill in the counter. Nothing to say is caught up in the tower. Haven't got enough damage here for the Willow and the Magnus. The stun over the two of them underneath the tower. Nothing to say. Surely going to go down. He will collapse. Still over into the trees. Collapse. He's still alive here. Can they quite find him? Wise coming back over. Steps in. Finally burst him with a pinball. But this battle underneath the tower, it's costing PSG.LGD lives as well. The root down. Catching the, pushing them back into it. But he's going to turn back over towards Toronto Tokyo. He's going to jump in, close the gap onto the Invoker. How can they help him out? They cannot. Are they able to finish off Toronto Tokyo as well?
That was beautiful. I love the way Nothing to Say played that team fight. He recognized that if this PA is dead, there's no damage coming out of the Spirit Draft. So trading his life for PA is really what enabled this entire fight to happen. You'll see a lot of Tinker players just, you know, they're like, I'm not going to go in, I might die. But he recognized that my death is worth it if I can take the PA with me. Just beautifully executed there from LGD. Ame also, small thing in the fight, TP's back to base, heals up, uses Aghanim Scepter to jump back into the... get those last couple of kills.
And I mean, it's crazy. We're seeing the power of that Shadow Step. He's in and out consistently, that 30-second cooldown. Easily able to do it a couple of times in a team fight.
Yeah, Mira, nice play.
Dire's middle tower
knows there's no stuns that can catch him here, so there's no skewer on the Rubik. He's not going to get caught during that. We have another big, interesting item coming up. There's going to be the Holy Locket for the Undying, and once he has Soul Rift maxed out, okay, he already has Soul Rift maxed out, together with the Holy Locket, this healing is ridiculous. So basically the way it works is the more units there are, the more you're going to heal. And with Tombstone and the way it functions, you just spawn a bunch of extra units. So you're almost always going to get that maxed out. Any sort of healing tool, Spectre's Destroy, just deal incredible team fights.
I
feel like LGD's draft's really coming together now.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a way that we just mid lane, then the top kill, with a quick top. It's it from it looks down over towards mid. The shadow, they big down the Doomstone gets.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
With me.
That's beautiful. They're using vision tools so nicely. You have the Tombstone, you have the Bloodseeker. There's so many ways to get vision in these team fights.
I mean, this Arme Vector's looking pretty spooky. He's picking up the involvement here. PSG.LGD just fighting in a way that we haven't seen from them so far in this series. Just forward onto Memphis.
He's able to get away. Oh, that was close.
See if they can pick up Mirror as well. They can. Nothing to say. And with the laser. And out he goes as well, picking up the action. 2K now for PSG.LGD. They're starting to break down Spirit.
Yep, they absolutely are, but a very, very important item is about to come into the game, and that is the PA BKB. He's 100 gold off of it, and he's going to have it in the next team fight. And the way this changes the game is the Tinker can no longer just laser the PA and force him to reset out. Yatoro's going to have 9 seconds to decide what he wants to do. And if those 9 seconds get him the right kills, that's going to be everything they need in order to win the fight.
And during that time, you know, Yatoro, where's he looking first? Is it sort of this Tinker? Does he have to just commit onto Nothing to Say to eliminate the threat from the rest of his team?
I mean, the ideal scenario, right, is you kill the Tinker with the PA BKB, because the only thing really covering you against the Tinker is that BKB. Once that BKB comes out, you're gonna see the Tinker lasering you, rocketing you, refreshing, laser rocket again. So the ideal scenario for him is he's allowed to meld and kind of hang around the fight as it breaks out, and then once the Tinker commits in, that's when he jumps.
We've got a smoke coming from PSG.LGD. They are very ready to fight, especially with Army. He's heading back for the resets, ready to shadow step in if he's needed.
Tombstone on the high ground.
Collapse is just seeping out. Excellent kinetic field from Apostle. Stops them from being able to chase in. Put a stop to the escape here from Spirit.
Looks like Spirit might want to chase into this though, but they should recognize that Tombstone's been dropped on the high ground, and it might be a hard fight for them.
Yeah, he just goes to work straight away onto Y. He should be able to get this. Yeah, Y's dead for sure. The crit comes in. Y will fall.
LGD are hanging around though, recognize the importance of this BKB.
Yeah, they've got a bit of a window now to maybe punish if Spirit stick around, but they won't. Back behind the tier 2 tower, Spirit will hold back.
Yeah, it's a tense game. This BKB really is going to be important, so using the first 9-second charge for the Undying, it's okay, but needs to lead to something. You know, this opens up some time, this gives them some time to farm. Hopefully they can deward some of the vision that LGD are playing with, and if they manage to do these things and they can reset the map to a position where they can farm up and they can get to the PA shard, if they can get these items that their PA needs in order to punish the LGD draft, then it's all good. But if those BKB charges get wasted for support kills that don't lead to more, then it's problematic for them.
PSG.LGD, they're trying to sneak the Roshan. Won't be the quickest though, and already actually deciding that they don't want to spend any further moments committing a Spirit potentially around the area. And they are Spirit more than happy to fight. RP at the ready. The big old Sarah for PSG.LGD though as well. Haunt good to go again for Arme. Few hundred gold away from the Manta style as well.
Yeah, Y leading the charge. All he needs to do is get that Tombstone down before the starts, and he's going to do it as soon as his smoke pops.
He's going to pop it down immediately to see what he can find. Will just be Mirror. Around the TP up, get him away from this, so now no Tombstone for the fight.
Yeah, but he does have that level 10 talent. This was recently added. The minus 15 seconds Tombstone cooldown makes it less of a committal when you...
Tokyo. And he's going to commit Fate Beyond. Just turns straight away on him. Tokyo was not prepared for that at all. Just standing there in the mid, and Fate Beyond finds a very tasty surprise.
And now, if the Undying would have had that Tombstone ready, he would have had that ulti ready, you could have seen LGD potentially poking at the Roche. But what they ideally want is for... okay, they actually already do have the Mantle Inspector, but that is a big Roche tool. Once you get Mantle Inspector, you have the Desolate to deal true damage to the Roche, and then it goes down very quickly. But they're happy with the pick. They're happy with how it's playing out. Shard finished on PA.
He's coming across this tree line. He knows that Nothing to Say is playing here behind the tower. He's going to try for the catch. Won't get it. Goes for the attempt, but Nothing to Say out of range.
And power stolen by Rubik as well, by the way. The Spectre is now matching the PA's farm speed.
About 2k in at the moment between Arme and Yatoro. But definitely having that ability on their side as well will help him close the gap. Online for the Skadi next after the Manta.
Yeah, intense game. Both teams just holding their high grounds, understanding where they're strong. Neither of them willing to fight into their team's vision. If you look at how Y is positioned, he's standing right outside of that ward until he's ready to run in.
They want to
has been killed.
on the out. As soon as it's out, Team Spirit, they retreat.
Yep. I think this is a very intelligent thing that LGD have recognized in this game. They've been dominated in Vision for 2 games straight, and they feel like, you know what, maybe they're better than me. Solve it?
Oh, collapse.
It's like Vision.
Makes you look in. Grab on the face. BKB's. They all get out!
Oh, you just missing our PFP there. That would have been a massive kill. But you see this from Spirit, right? As soon as that BKB is ticking low, he has to TP out of.
They know exactly when to sort of just get out of that. They get their kill, they get their trade. They know not to push it for anything more. Team Spirit knowing the exact moment to call it quits and reset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yatoro's excellently. But I do worry, once this BKB starts taking out, the Tinker's closing in on a Hex, right? So potentially jumping on them is going to be hard. You see Yatoro's also buying that Desolator. It's not a Basher. Necessarily kill the Tinker, he has the Hex.
I think they go for the Roche now. They know there's no RP.
Yep.
So they have the damage to take this set, and Spirit still want to try and make a jump into them.
Yep. With Laser, Mantle Spectre, and dying damage on
Gonna get the pick, quite nicely timed. Roshan is very low. Any potential for a steal?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
He's not able to get it. He's not able to get it. Mate gets the kill. Gonna make the jump in time, and Yatoro just getting burst so heavily before we could actually get the BKB off there.
Yep, excellent gameplay from. They're banging on all cylinders.
They are. We did not see anything close to this in the first 2 games. PSG.LGD finding their confidence, their fire, as they're hitting back hard here in this 3rd game.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel like the way that they've approached this game is just so smart. I think this is what they were missing in the first 2 games. These tools that provide them with vision, recognize that as amazing.
Just jumping around damage, 2 over delusions.
All right, so for the side of Spirit here, I think it's getting increasingly difficult. You're starting to feel the pressure of the. So you know what? There's that X, there's that Aghanims, and once my BKB's out, I'm not really sure how to fight into these heroes. And we haven't really seen Toronto Tokyo in this game. He hasn't really had a game, so this Tinker pick from PSG.LGD is played out beautifully.
It's definitely turning into a game where when you look at the farm on the course, a lot is on Yatoro's shoulders, whereas on the side of PSG.LGD, the well very evenly split between Nothing to Say and Arm for these cores, and just in combination with one another. Spectre, Tinker, nobody wants to play against him. Let's watch it! He was up to the looks he can find him in return. Mirror Dusted in position here, wide, trying to look towards him, but Field holds back the Undying. Mirror gets away, but a quick move there from Xingqiu.
Yep.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Continue to absolute beast this game.
The fights are just so hard for Spirit, and especially if Yatoro isn't there to play the fights for them. They really need him. What a beautiful initiation from the Rubik there with the RP. You know, whiffed the one earlier up top, but gets the more important one head.
I mean, they're down 8k at the moment. How on earth do they just approach any sort of team fights now at this stage with the Spectre just jumping into their faces? And as you say, the vision, the counter abilities from PSG.LGD to just disrupt any sort of move or jump that Spirit are trying to make themselves. It seems that this time round, one's in the impossible position.
Yeah, I think they're off balance, right? They've probably played this entire tournament playing off of vision advantage, having information advantage. And in this game, they don't. They have one team and can't really that's far up top. They're not really going to bring their heroes to that side of the map. And then in the bottom area, the only ward that they have to fight around is also an area that you won't really see LGD approaching.
Good. to get being burst. The light still coming in, did grab that Paladin sword before that last play. Almost certainly saving his life there with the big burst heal through the crits.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, where did that heal come from? I did not see that coming. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And he gets that second heck off. That's a one-team fight.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's really coming down to, you know, those micro decisions that you make in these team fights. I felt like you get the burst damage out in time. It seemed like the wrong choice this time around.
There's PSG.LGD still multiple position. Look at the map control as well. They've only lost one tower so far in this 32 minutes. Very impressive. Just sort of forcing Spirit to almost play a different game than they would have wanted. It was clear that Spirit came into this wanting to deal with PSG.LGD the same way they have done in the first two series. It's not worked this time. Spirit, we're going to have something different for them. Something that we have seen before in previous series, but not something they've necessarily brought out today.
Yeah, and if you click on Yatoro, you're going to notice that he's feeling the pressure of the Tinker. That's a refresher queued up.
All right.
And if you think about how PA works, that's really mainly for the BKB. He feels like he needs that extra duration of Black King Bar in order to be survivable in these fights and win the game. It's a really... This will be a genius item. I'm really interested to see how it plays.
Focus around the mid lane here for Spirit.
Try and get what a play by Y. He put his courier on the hill to scout off.
Comes out for GQ. Captain Collapse in the... Collapsing over the...
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Been trying to run it. Just to speed himself, will manage to break away.
What an unbelievable play by Y though. He just put his courier on this hill, waiting for that ward to come out, recognizing that if they smoke, we're gonna go.
I know they're going for more. They're ready to try and get the jump in onto Yatoro, but Yatoro linking straight over to the safety of Mira on the high ground. Means they won't get a first. And PSG.LGD there now to back off. Still 30 seconds without collapse.
Yep, the pressure is on. We see nothing to say buying that Aeon disc. He was queuing up the BKB, recognizing though, the problem for me is not really the magic damage. It's potentially getting locked down by the PA and getting bursted. So Aeon disc will solve that problem for him. And their items are just gearing them up to not die. You see also, same thing for Ame. He knows that PA doesn't buy an BKB. It's not an item you traditionally see on the PA. It forces PA to deviate from his standard item build. Buying that buff here is going to force the PA to play his game. And now the PA is suddenly reacting to the...
Yeah, because what do you do in this situation now, Yatoro? What is the call with his next item?
It's a hard decision, right? Yeah. And this is what LGD are doing so well. They're forcing you into a position where you might make a mistake. Maybe he buys the wrong item. Maybe he now decides to go for the MKB, but then his BKB is too short to fight. Or you're just making this problematic for Team Spirit. You want to make it as hard as possible for Yatoro to do what's right.
And he's even thinking about the Ags as well. A lot of options here for Yatoro.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I don't know what the right one is.
And we'll see if he does either. A very tough place to play from. On 13k. Both nothing to say, and Ame's power just continuing to grow.
And we've talked about this a lot, but you know, Roshan's about to spawn. Heroes start moving over to the top side, secure the area. Wire has the ward down. Notices there are no heroes there. That means we know where Spirit are, and immediate smoke over.
Collapse. Then can't be dead from the pocket. Disruptor will die. Mira and Yatoro, this is... Opponent immediate TP out, they're not messing around. They know how quick PSG.LGD is going to be with these responses. He's on a cliff. Nothing to say, he's quite happy to join him.
Not really quite sure what was going on there. Maybe he was attempting to D-ward while he saw the hero's bottom and saw the TPs on the tier 1 bot tower. But Roshan has spawned. Click on Y, he has everything ready. Tombstone ready. This Rosh is going to go down extremely quickly as soon as Ame connects over.
I mean, in 50 seconds without collapse, it's unlikely they're going to be able to do anything without alive. Is there any world that they buy back to contest this, or they just let this go?
I feel like based on the way they're positioned, it might be hard to get there in time. Yeah. So the buyback option probably is not there. Seems like Toro now has seen this Tinker buying the Aeon disc, so what does he do? He buys the appropriate item for response. He's going to go for the Nullifier.
All right. So many choices, and Yatoro, he's got to make the right one.
I think Team Spirit have recognized that as long as this Tinker's alive, there's a way to win the long fight. And we're going to constantly be forced to TP out as Yatoro's BKB ends. And Team Spirit, I think the way that you need to fight here is you need to set it up in a way where you initiate, force the Tinker to show himself, and then have Yatoro go in. And at the same time, flip side for Team Spirit, I mean for PSG.LGD, you know that your 4-man is stronger. If both Yatoro and the Tinker stay out of the fight, you have the advantage. So just don't show nothing to say too early in a team fight. Allow your team to play the game 4v4, and then come in and beat the PA as soon as he commits.
Again, falling back into
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
For Team Spirit, at least, where they don't have any interest in meeting PSG.LGD head-to-head whilst there is the Aegis on Arme.
And for the first time in this game, Spirit has finally been able to establish some sort of vision in the bottom area of the map. We noticed them doing this time after time. When they fall behind, they like to take over the enemy triangle. They feel like it's a comfortable place for them to fight in. And even in this game, you notice it. Here we go again. Up into this Radiant triangle, or Dire triangle. Wait for the Tinker to show up. If the Tinker comes to that wave, they're going to be right on top of him. But it seems like Nothing to Say has played plenty of Tinker games. Recognize.
Monster kill!
Quick jump over to the bottom lane, adding another kill to his scoreboard. 9, 1, and 15.
Yep, and interestingly enough, he's gone for the Haunt Illusion damage.
Yatoro getting not beat for Tokyo though, as Nothing to Say has his number.
I mean, Nothing to Say has really turned it up this game. I mean, I'm really impressed with his Tinker decision making. It's just very, very intelligent. Has not gotten caught a single time from things, I think. And the way he teamfights is just beautiful. He knows what to wait for. He knows who to look for. This is a completely different PSG.LGD.
It really
compared
is.
to the first two games.
It really, really is. It's looking fantastic. This is the power that we've seen from PSG.LGD in the series before, in this run in the upper bracket. And it's now just where it's needed the most. They were knocked down hard in the first 2 games, and I think a lot of people were definitely going to be interested to see if they could somehow regain that control. It's not an easy place to be in, as you said. For them, pressure incredibly high at this. They will not accept anything less than first.
Yeah, absolutely. We have another fight brewing. This is the only side of the map that Spirit has wards on. So Spirit are not willing to take this team fight into LGD. I'm really curious what fight they're going to look for. This is the one, I think. Can't go on Ame though. The Aegis protects him.
2 minutes still with that safety on the Spectre.
But yeah, if we think about the mentality of LGD coming this game, right, the pressure was definitely on them. I mean, Johan and Seb talked about what they saw backstage, what they saw in their expressions. I'm sure this kind of momentum for them is huge. And, something that you need in order to win TI, right? You need to have that attitude of champions.
Look at this jump.
He's playing with so much confidence. I'll fuck him up. Wait up. He recognizes he wonders his bomb here. Full comes into the
6 on this thing right now.
He's gonna finish blood into green core, sorry.
I mean, without a doubt, saw how much Collapse could do last game when he was just in the lead, ahead, just play. Waves. PSG.LGD trying to grab it. On the Arme, it's not going to happen. Forced back to the fountain. As PSG.LGD, they've got all the space in the world to push in onto the tier 3. Can Team Spirit get them out of it? There's no buyback on Toronto Tokyo, still down for 30 seconds. And with the out mirror as well, they'll have to, by the looks of it, at least let one set of racks go down here. There's no defense to be had quite yet for Spirit.
That's so hard to fight. You saw Yatoro kind of thinking about it, looking for that potential wraparound, but you know what? My team won't be able to support me. Even if I can catch the Tinker at the backlines, I don't have the power to kill him on my own.
Look how much money he's got. 6k gold in the bank here. Nothing to say he can really start picking up whatever he wants now. Just filling up those inventory slots.
Yeah, absolutely. Finishes up that Octarine core. Just it's the mana pool. Ooh.
I'll have a momentary pause here. 15 to 30. 24,000 net worth lead for PSG.LGD. The numbers looking very good for them right now.
I have a hard time. I'm trying to think of scenarios for Spirit. It feels difficult to find a way to do it. But I really like this choice from yatoro. I think this refresher could be genius. It could just be the thing that they need.
I mean, the problem is, even if they get these kills right on the defensive Team Spirit, it's a Spectre and a Tinker. You kill these heroes, they're buying back, their boots are traveling over, they're haunting in, they're shadow stepping back into the action. Killing them once is not going to be enough. PSG.LGD will use the opportunity to get in and destroy you, even if they lose a core at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're totally right about that, Owen, and that is why they are so far ahead, right? They have all these options, they have all of these tools, but if anything could potentially catch them off guard, I mean, PA refresher, when have you seen that? I think once that BKB runs out, expect Nothing to Say to blink in to be ready to hex. And if he gets that refresher off, if Nothing to Say didn't click on a PA, that could mean his death. I mean,
it would be quite something if this build does have the impact possible. But will it be enough? It seems like a pretty big ask here when they're as down as much as they are in this game 3.
Let me tell you, as a player in this position, these kind of pauses, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. It throws you off your momentum.
Well, for who? The team that's ahead or behind?
I mean, I'd say for both. Yeah. I think it's really sad for both sides. I wouldn't say it's like, oh, Spirit's getting an advantage, but when you are playing like the pressure, you're playing with the way LGD are, your mind is so zoned in into thinking, what are they doing now? Where are they moving next? How far could they have potentially gotten in the time that it's gone from me last seeing them on the map? And all of these small micro senses that you have where, like, let's say yatoro shows on the top lane, and then 15 seconds passes, you know where yatoro approximately could be because you know how fast the hero moves. Everything like that, it's thrown off by this kind of pause. And that's why usually, if you think about it, after pauses in pro games, you see somebody getting picked off or somebody making the wrong judgment call. And it's because this like micro senses that you're used to playing off of gets thrown off.
Especially in a game such high stakes here as the grand finals, the International 10. Spirit, as you can see, up 2-0 right now in this best of 5. But as this game 3 goes, looks like PSG.LGD will be able to stop the potential of a 3-0 clean sweep here for Spirit.
I just really hope there's no initiation in the next 30 seconds after this pause, because that would really suck for both sides.
There we go. Ready to get the action back on its way, ladies and gentlemen.
I can feel my heart pounding with that unpause there.
You know how the players are feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Looks like hopefully there's no initiation here, so we survived the pause.
Pretty far away from one another. Yatoro, just a recipe away from the refresher, so you certainly want to get that done. Ideally, maybe hit the 25 if he can before the next fight is forced.
Which talent do you take though? The coup de grace is great. You get more damage, but the tripling dagger might sort of one-shot it while you're not paying attention.
I feel like the coup de grace might be it because you got one of your items is a refresher. You're not maxed out on damage.
Yep, you're right.
Sure that the crits are hitting. Be pretty essential if you saw it. But then again, the triple is nice if you know like mega creeps are going to be coming in. If you feel like you're losing some lanes of barracks, you need to push back out. So
I'm also thinking for the team fight, right? How we know that yatoro has to wait out. He can't commit straight at the start because he'll be forced to waste his BKB.
And maybe they do have, of course, the Empower. You know, the triple stifling daggers with the Empower on them. That's pretty nice.
Quick fingers.
And so does this game.
Forget me not.
There's nothing more to hold them back with. Toro, he's going to be the new focus. Static Soul from a body down into the trees. Well, and the trees hit up as he keeps.
Yeah, beautiful respawn. Team actually thought they were going to have way more casualties. Quick finger. play there with a start to cancel. Tinker potentially chasing for more kills.
So yeah, he has to get the chance here. Hamming up the damage. The gold for that refresher of just a couple of, well, a few hundred.
I'm so excited for this.
Just if some sort of big brain play comes out.
Exactly. I want to know how it plays out. And now he has it.
He does.
Immediate smoke up.
They would have seen him building, of course, with the perseverances, but it's just a question of, I think, say, in particular, it's ready for it to be complete for the next fight. As you mentioned, if he's out of position, he comes in with a second round of BKB and nullifier. It could be deadly for nothing to say. You know, man on his Tinker, who's had a pretty free game so far, jumping all over the place and bursting down Spirit.
KB finished on Y. This dying is not easy to bring down.
And look at his position as well, just stopping any chance of Spirit being able to make a move from their triangle.
Yeah. I mean, the problem really for Spirit, like, how do you their heroes? If not PA, if PA can't commit on them, how does anything die?
Of course, PSG.LGD there. He'd be feeling very comfortable. Nothing to say. Arme more than happy to farm up sort of their 6th item. For the Orchid into the Blackthorn here for Arme. Nothing to say. Getting close to having the comfort, the overwhelming blink, maybe even holding on for his buyback as well.
Toro? He's caught.
That's been caught. He needs help. He needs now. The BKB comes out. That's been rough. Now, pressure to a hunk.
Trophy. PSG.LGD had vision. They were playing on even terms for most of the game, and
collapse drops it, but counters there. Zinq with an instant lift, holds him in his tracks. And there's another corner out of the game. Collapse and Yatorin returning for this defense.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's
head on Spirit. PSG.LGD, they're up to their axe.
That's gotta be so satisfying for Zinq.
Oh yeah.
Collapse map, just constantly skewering them back, and now finally he gets to do it himself.
Yeah, Collapse giving Zinq as well. With the words of Purge in the tip. I mean, this is what the PSG.LGD fans expected to see from them in this grand finals. They just took a bit of time to turn up today. Needed a bit of warm-up. The first 2 games, that was that.
You're playing with confidence. But at the same time, whenever they need to slow down, you know they're doing it. Oh, the immediate roach spawn. Nice. They're happy about this, I'm sure.
Nothing to learn about this from Spirit whatsoever. So fall straight into the hands of PSG.LGD. As we'll see, poor old Maposhka has tried his to defend against the creeps, and then suddenly an Arme appears on top of him, disappears as quickly. The job is done. Taken out. No place is safe right now from this Spectre.
And the Rubik gets the Aghanim Scepter. This is probably one of my favorite Aghanims in the game. It's always a great feeling when you have it as Rubik. So one of the things about this that I don't think we've ever talked about is when you spell steal, and most teams aren't aware that you have an Aghs, they kind of think, all right, Rubik used it. You hear that boing sound, and then you're, okay, I can use my spells however I want. With the Aghs, that throws it off. That just makes it easier for you to get those big steals that you want to get. So highly doubt Team Spirit to be ready for this, but to be fair, they've had a sit in the base. Usually what you do during this time is you're starting to discuss everything. What is that LGD can do? How do they approach this fight? What are they going to be looking for? What are we looking for? What are our objectives here? Which heroes do we need to go on? What spells do we need to save? All these things should be discussed for Spirit, and they should have a structured fight in mind here, because you can predict what's going to happen.
I mean, 40,000 gold down right now, Spirit. PSG.LGD. It looks like a pretty smooth sailing here to the victory. Is anything can pull off whilst this far behind?
I mean, it's a matter of finding the tinker. I really think so. Of course, you can always win. In Dota, I feel like you always have the option of winning. And especially in late game, yeah, there's 40,000 net worth differentiating you, but there's no amount of net worth that will make up for a bad or a bunch play. So formation is really important here for LGD. And it gets more fine sort of back. That could open up entirely.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
The barrack.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
Pitch. Still take the fight. The man. The spam bait. Another second.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
Victory! Turn to the fountain! Oh my god, the fountain! They counter flank the Skewer again, but no, the Yules! And then